Alright, so in today's video we're going to be going over how to propagate a pothos plant. If yours is looking anything like mine where it is long and leggy, now is a great time to trim it up and put those trimmings to good use by creating either a whole new plant or making your original plant look bushier. And I would also suggest subscribing to me. I'm constantly trying to come out with good houseplant care videos and I would really appreciate it. So the first thing, we need to understand what we're looking for. We're looking for these little brown bumps called nodes on your plant. And these little nodes are where your roots are going to be growing out of. Once they are cut, they react by starting to sprout new roots. In the wild, generally they will help them climb or crawl along different things. But while it's a houseplant, usually they don't serve much of a purpose until you cut them and they are able to start growing little roots for you. So your supplies needed for propagating a pothos is very small. First, you're going to need some scissors or an X-Acto knife, just something that is clean and sharp, and then also some sort of container. So right here, I'm repurposing some old makeup jars that I've been saving for this. You can use something like this and put them in water, and you can also just put them straight into soil. I would suggest using just an all-purpose potting soil. You don't need anything fancy for a pothos. And when cutting your pothos, you're going to want to include 1 to 3 leaves and just make sure that along that main stem there is some sort of node that can be growing the roots later after you've put it in water or put it into soil, so that it can actually make a new plant for you. And if you're worried that maybe you are harming your pothos, that it's never going to grow back, this is my pothos just a few weeks later, where I took that big initial cut where it's brown right there. It is already starting to grow a new stem and it's going to keep going. So when you trim your pothos, don't worry, it will start to grow back and do just fine. Now I'm going to be placing the cuttings in this water that I filled up in my repurposed makeup jars. I just washed them out really well and they should be fine. You can use rooting hormone with your pothos, but I would say it's not super necessary because a pothos is a really easy plant to propagate and they will do well even if they do not have any rooting hormone. You've done that, just the name of the game is waiting. You're going to want to place them in an area that's bright but it's not getting a whole lot of direct sunlight because they will not do well in that. I have them placed here on the windowsill to show you, but I'm probably not going to keep them there because this area is very sunny and it can get very cold in the winter. So I'm just going to set them aside where it's warmer for them. About 1 month later, I finally started to notice some roots. There's one really large one and a smaller one beneath it. Generally, this takes 7 to 14 days for roots to start appearing, but I'm doing this in the middle of winter, so I think that kind of slowed down this whole process. I'm going to keep them in these jars and just waiting. Some of them don't have roots yet, but they are looking healthy and good, so I'm going to give them a few more weeks, maybe another month, and kind of just see what happens, because sometimes they do take longer. And once your roots are about 1 inch or longer, you can go ahead and transplant them into soil. You can keep them growing in water if you want for longer, but just make sure that you are changing the water regularly. Thank you guys so much for watching, and again, consider subscribing. I'm always trying to come out with great videos for houseplant care to help you and your houseplants thrive.